just simply setting up the camera. I'm gonna play the Ghost Race to 8. I know the sound is not great. You're gonna hear a lot of like ballroom noises because I don't have the actual microphone connected to the camera. It's just a test and something similar that I'm going to be doing during the tournaments because I really want to start streaming my own matches at tournaments so my friends, my fans, and family can watch. I have my student Chris who is doing the remote scoring today. This way it's very similar to a setup that I'm going to have at tournaments. I'm just going to set up the phone with the camera, with the scoring app, and someone else, either a friend or family member who is watching the match, will do the scoring for me. This way I don't have to be distracted in between grabs, and a lot of times in tournaments we're not allowed to use our phones. So obviously I won't be able to enter the score myself. But I have Chris and I have the chat with him on the iPad, so I'm going to ask him quick how the video is working, and we're going to start the practice session. So as usual, after my practice session with the Game of the Ghost, I'm going to answer a couple questions, the Q&A that you guys have. We're going to do race to 8. If I make a ball and break, I get to take ball in hand and continue running out. If I don't make the ball in the break, which is not ideal, but I will still take ball in hand and run out. If I scratch on the break, it's a loss of game automatically because we assume that we played a strong opponent and we scratch on the break, it's no good. So, Game of the Ghost, race to 8. Let's get it. Yesterday I won 8-7 and that was not a good score. I did not play good. So today we're going to try to beat that score. not even going to try to run this out. It's just impossible. just gonna connect the microphone quick. Just give me 1 second. All right, let me know how the sound is. Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Should be working. Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Should be working. All right, I'm gonna get this higher just a little bit. Here you go. This should be good. All right, perfect. I have the iPad right here with the questions. Apparently I'm testing this new mic. My dad actually told me that putting this like fuzzy thing on the mic will get rid of like certain noises, and then when you breathe in, like it doesn't pick it up. So we'll see. Pop's got some tricks. All right. I see your comments about the amazing run out. Yeah, that one was tricky. Apparently, yeah, playing the ghost, you know, if the table lies perfectly, you always have open position. I would say I'm 90% favored to run out, but sometimes the way the ball lie, it's just impossible to get out. I remember after one rack I broke and I was like, I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna take a loss, because sometimes it's just extremely difficult. All right, I'm gonna start with certain questions that we have in the comments. Hi Margaret, well played. I'm looking for some advice on how to fix my alignment. When you're getting down in a shot, do you look at the white ball at all? Okay, so the way I do it is I go down in the ball and I shift my eyesight from the white ball to the object ball, right? So when I pull back, I look at the object ball. When my tip is at the cue ball, I look at the cue ball. Object ball, cue ball, object ball, cue ball. Then during the pause, I look at the cue ball just to make sure that my tip position is correct before the final stroke. So I'm actually changing where I'm looking throughout the practice strokes. It helps me to focus my attention not only on the tip position, but also on the spot on the cue ball that I'm trying to hit. Oh wow, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's thunderstorming. The weather today is absolutely nasty. Myself and Roger are the only two people in the pool room. But when I left home this morning, it was a beautiful morning. But it is, it's definitely a good day to be inside, that's for sure. All right, I'm gonna probably hang here for another 10 to 15 minutes. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. I just noticed that my shirt is super wrinkly. Definitely doesn't do me any justice. Yeah, so I was testing the stream yesterday, and one thing I noticed that it was definitely a distraction for me yesterday because it was a little bit harder for me to concentrate on the table, knowing that I have to worry about the setup, about the camera. Today was definitely easier. So yeah, I'm pretty happy the way the practice went. It's been raining like the last couple days, and tables are playing a little slow. Definitely more humid than it used to be, so it's a little bit challenging, like going from like different conditions. But I think this is one of the most important things about practicing and playing is how quick you can adapt to different conditions. Like yesterday, it was more dry, and the table was playing a little bit quicker, and today it was more humidity, and the cloth was definitely playing a bit slower. So yeah, just making those micro adjustments definitely help. Yesterday the score was 8-7. Today was 8-3. So I definitely completed my goal to beat the previous score. So that was good. Do you have any tips for a 400 Fargo trying to improve? Yes, absolutely. I would say my number one tip would be to go to the pool room and practice systematically, right? Try to have certain goal for every practice session. Let's say I want to improve this shot, or I want to get better at this position. So pretty much the goal is to have purpose for practice. It is really hard to get better if you just go to the pool room and hitting balls without any purpose, or playing with your bodies, right? So use the shots that you struggle with as the foundation for your practice. So I like to ask myself, what is the shot that I absolutely hate? Like that one shot that every time I see it in the match, I go, no. So this is the type of shots you actually really have to practice, right? I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they want to like enjoy the practice, and they only do things that they truly enjoy doing. In order to get better, you need to do the uncomfortable things, the things that you actually hate. So I would say like this would be my tip number one, is do the hard things in practice, so then the game seems easier, because the more hard shots you practice, the shots that you're uncomfortable with, the list of those things that you're struggling with is going to get smaller and smaller. And then when you play the game, you're actually going to notice that, okay, I don't struggle with so many things anymore, right? So work on your weaknesses. That would be the summary. What kind of tip do you use, and what role does the tip play in deflection? I hear that the shaft plays the biggest role. Same, say it's the tip. All right, so the softer the tip, the more it deflects, right? So the harder the tip, the less deflection is going to be, right? I personally prefer Kamui medium black, right? It's one of my favorite tips because it stays very consistent, right? So if you know, like a lot of tips tend to harden over time, right? So let's say you start with soft, in like 3 weeks it's gonna already play like medium. What I noticed about Kamui original and black series is that they stay very consistent. So medium doesn't really get harder, like unless you do something with it, right? So I like the consistency of it. For me, the tip plays a big role. I remember when I was younger, I played with soft tip. I feel like it can be a little bit too spongy and very unforgiving. For the beginners, I would not recommend the soft tip. I would recommend medium or even hard. It really depends. I know a lot of people use the harder tip as well, just because they want to create a little bit more power. So if you have a pretty weak shaft, I would recommend to experiment with it, because you never know what you're going to like. At the end of the day, it's such a personal preference, but my choice would be Kamui medium as well, for sure. Hi guys. Hi everyone who's joining. I'm doing the test live stream from Varsity Club in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. For those who are just joining my stream, I did that yesterday, and it was very successful. I did the ghost race to 8 plus Q&A. It went really well. So I wanted to do the same thing again because, like I said, I want to start streaming my own matches at the tournament. And the next tournament is the WPBA Women's US Open. And, I just wanted to get comfortable with it, just so when I set it up at the tournament, it's not a distraction for me. So I can just set up the tripod with camera. I know how the scoring app works. By the way, big thanks to my friend and my student Chris, who's been doing the scoring remotely. This way I didn't have to distract myself from like putting the score into the system. I've seen a lot of players doing it over the years, just streaming their own matches, and I always for some reason thought it's like so complicated. But then what happened is, a lot of friends and family just want to watch my matches all the time, and I might play like 1, 2, 3 matches a tournament on the TV table, but the rest of the tournaments are on the outside tables that are not streamed. So I decided to pull the trigger and, figure out how to stream my own matches. And I started with my practice sessions just to see how it goes. And so far, it seems pretty seamless. I would say, unless I'm having a really hard times with like internet connection at the venue, I think we should be good. I should be able to stream every one of my matches. Upcoming US Open, which starts Thursday, the 15th, I believe. Or 16th. What is Thursday? Well, Thursday this week. It's the first day of the tournament. Luckily for me, it's in Michigan, UP, which is only like 2-hour drive from where we are. So that would be nice. And my husband Tyler is coming with as a coach and emotional support. And he will be doing the scoring for my matches. So I'll put him to work. That's going to be exciting. How relaxed would you say your fingers' wrist is? Do you continuously trying to release your fingers? That is a great question. So I noticed that the more relaxed my grip hand is, the better I play. Because if you notice, a lot of players tend to tense the grip under pressure, and it creates a lot of tension in your hand. And that's where like unnecessary side spin comes in. There's a lot of mistakes that can creep in. So the more relaxed you keep your hand, the better. So I always keep the most pressure on the first 2 fingers in my grip, and then the rest is just resting on the cue. So I try to keep it nice and loose, but not super loose where the cue is like slipping from my wrist, right? So you have to kind of like find that perfect balance, not too tight, but not too loose. Yeah, I see Chris in the chat. Thank you so much, Chris. That was very helpful. You did great considering that you were doing some work on your cue. So that was pretty amazing. Honestly, like I feel so bad sometimes because I'm 28 years old and I see this like 15-year-old guys, like kids, who are just so techy, streaming their own matches, and they have like the Facebook stream and YouTube stream and like all these channels and all these technologies, and I feel like a dinosaur because I'm like, I'm not that old. I can figure this out. So I actually called Tiffany Easton, Savannah's mom, a couple days ago, and I was like, hey, how do you do this? I need to figure this out. So she walked me through it, and apparently it's very simple. So yeah, I'm glad I'm on board now because I know a lot of my friends, family, and you guys would love to watch my matches. And for me personally, it would be really good to look back at my own matches, record it, and see, what my weaknesses are, what I was struggling with, because, sometimes under pressure, I can remember certain shots that I missed, right? But I cannot remember like the whole match. So I think a really good routine for me would be play a tournament, and then when I get back home, maybe give myself a day off, and then the next day go back and watch my matches. Maybe not all of them, but like the most important ones that I feel like I could learn from. And I think it would be really good for me personally, for my growth as a player, to look back at those recordings and analyze my game and actually try to learn from my mistakes. Because the process of learning never ends, really. No matter on which level you are, it's a never-ending process of learning. Do you love teaching, or is just something you feel like you have to do? I definitely don't have to do it. I genuinely really enjoy it. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a background on my teaching journey. So I started playing pool at the age of 11, and I tried like different coaches back in Minsk, Belarus, and uh, couldn't really find anyone who would uh, work with me like the way I feel like I needed. And my parents at that time kind of like had pretty high expectation of like coaches, and nobody quite like met the criteria. There were certain issues, and my mom had the teacher background, and my dad had this like military approach background. So they did a bunch of research online, and they found like a training program which was like 5 skill levels and different drills. So my mom came up with like just a training routine, and my dad came up with a schedule. So like, go figure, the teacher and the guy from the military coming together to create a training regime for the daughter. And, that was pretty intense. I've been hitting a lot of balls, but I've improved so much in a short period of time. So my parents at the time having regular jobs, teaching me on the side. I'm improving really quick. I think in less than 2 years, I won my first national title. It was a national women's cup in Belarus. And then my parents started getting approached by other parents from different kids, like, hey, we would like you to train my kid. And my parents said, well, we're not coaches. We're just coaching our daughter because like we have to. We couldn't find any good coaches. So then they took one student, then they took the other student, and then that's how it started. And then we get so sick of like going to the pool room all the time. So my parents they rented like a room a little bit like outside the city in the suburb, and put a pool table in there. So no, actually it was two pool tables. So they created some like a pool academy. It was just 2 tables, absolutely private thing, just for a few students. And then over the years, the amount of students grew to the point where they had to expand, and now they have 4 tables, and I would say over like 40 or 50 students on a regular basis, from the age of 6, 7 to I think the oldest student they had was like 70 or 71, which is pretty amazing. So you can imagine that growing up in this environment, I was constantly there in the pool academy, watching my parents teach, and I was helping them. Sometimes I would have to substitute for my mom or my dad if they had something important going on. So I would also teach kids from like the age of 16, 17. I was like almost fully involved into like helping them running the academy. And obviously when I moved to the US, because a lot of people here like knew who I am from the European pool scene, I started getting approached about giving lessons. And that's how it started. And actually Chris, who was in the chat, he was one of my very first in-person lessons when I moved to the US. So it was a pretty cool story, you know. But then like him and his wife Ashley and us built like such a good friendship, and he ended up also being my sponsor for a certain period of time with his real estate company. So that's a pretty cool story, but that's for another time. But yeah, I truly enjoy coaching. I find so much satisfaction to actually watch people get better, and sometimes it gives me even more satisfaction to watch my students do well and win tournaments and achieve their goals than like my own personal goals, right? Like it's one of the coolest things when you get messages from your students saying, hey, I won the tournament, or I finally placed like in the top 3 in this tournament, or I won my first match, whatever the milestone will be, I just love sharing those moments with my students, and being able to be part of it, it's pretty special. I feel like, of course, I feel like we do make a difference being role models and being professional pool players, but I feel like I can make such a bigger difference in people's life by teaching them, by coaching them. And I feel like a lot of my coaching and a lot of my instruction are not just like 3-4 hours at the pool table and done. We keep staying connected after the lesson, and I feel like all of my students are just like part of my journey, and it's pretty amazing. Do you have any tips for handling pressure during a match? Oh yeah, I do have a lot of tips, and a lot of it comes obviously from experience. So I would say tip number one would be to always try to stay present. And as cliche as it sounds, it is the most important thing, because our mind tend to wonder, or in the past, I can't believe I missed this ball like 2 racks ago to get on the hill, or you know, did I turn off the stove when I left home? Or sometimes our mind goes in the future and think, oh, if I run out this rack, I'm gonna get in the hill first, or I'm gonna win the tournament, or I just need 3 more balls to win. This is all past or the future that you have zero control of, right? It hasn't happened yet when it comes to future, and the past is already gone. So the only real moment that you have control of is this present moment. So when you're in the chair and your opponent is running out, you have to let go of control. You have to understand that you have no control on what your opponent is doing. So you just have to accept it. You have to admit that it is what it is. Whatever happens, I will be okay with it. If the opponent flicks the ball in, guess what? It's part of the game. There is nothing you can do. So just try to relax in the chair. Think about something pleasant. Focus on your breathing, right? Because the breathing really shifts you back in the present moment. And just try to stay concentrated. If there's a lot of things going on around in the pool room, try to lock your attention you know to what's going on in the table, like what is the score, um, what ball the opponent is going to shoot next. So try to kind of like stay in it even when you're in the chair. And when you get to the table, your number one focus has to just solve one problem. Make the ball, play shape for the next one. Make this ball, play shape for the next one. So just narrow down your focus to this present moment. You can only control one ball at a time, right? Whatever is going on the table right now, you are in control. Your opponent, who is sitting in the chair right now, has no impact on what's going on at the table. So you are in full control, and this is the only thing that you can really worry about. So I think it's a very open answer to the question, but I hope that answered that. Oh, we got people from Brazil. Hello. That is amazing. Let me know, guys, in the comments where you're watching from. I would really love to see how many territories do we have here. I know my parents are watching from Belarus. They love watching my live stream. They were so happy that I finally doing the live stream of my matches, because you can imagine they're having like mini heart attack just watching the live score at the tournaments all the time. I just want to make sure I go through all the questions in the chat to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, we have someone from Hong Kong. This is incredible. I've never been to Hong Kong. I always wanted to go. It's actually definitely in my bucket list. Tyler and I were thinking about planning like a big trip to Asia. So yeah, we might do that. We'll see. Right now, to be honest, especially like this year, we're just so busy. We're building the ultimate pool in Wisconsin. Uh, we're traveling, we're coaching, focusing on our own careers. So this year is definitely going to be really busy, but we're hoping that in a couple of years it's going to slow down a little bit. Hello from Montana. I love it. Never been to Montana as well. Been to Washington State, but never been to Montana. Uh, to be honest with you, I've heard there's a really nice pool room in Montana, and Tyler and I were actually talking about doing lessons there. So, yeah, that would be a good trip. There's so many beautiful places in the United States that I want to visit. Um, I absolutely love walking and hiking. It's one of like my biggest hobby. Like outside the pool table, I love being in nature. So I've heard like Montana in summertime, the national parks there are absolutely gorgeous. So would love to check it out. Very humid in Hong Kong. Yes, indeed. I would say like all Asia is very, very humid. We went to Singapore last year and it was like the most insane humidity we've ever seen. Like it is like literally like 90% humidity. So I remember we went to the pool room and it was freezing cold because they obviously the pool rooms have to crank up the AC in order to fight that humidity, but you need like 2 layers of long sleeve jacket in order to survive that cold. But I guess the longer you live there, like the more you're used to it, so it doesn't really affect you as much. But yeah, it is pretty intense. All right, we will do 5 more minutes of live stream for Q&A, and then I'm gonna have to call it a day. I have some errands to run, and I'm actually picking Tyler up from the airport in about 45 minutes. So good thing that the airport is only 30 minutes, so I should be on time. I actually truly enjoy doing this little Q&A and live streams. Um, I was thinking to do something like this once a week, like weekly uh, live practice session plus Q&A at the end, like every Sunday, for example, or every Saturday, something like this. So let me know in the comments if this is something you would be interested in, unless I'm playing a tournament. Obviously, if I'm playing a tournament on the weekend, we're not going to do that. But if I don't have a tournament, I would go live from the pool room and just in this like casual environment, answer a couple questions and show you guys my practice sessions. Sometimes I might be playing the ghost, sometimes doing some drills. Yeah, just give you a little sneak peek to my practice routine on the weekends. Do you play against Tyler much? How does it go usually? So believe it or not, we're not in the same schedule a lot of time. A lot of time, like I'm a morning person. Like I love to practice in the morning, and he likes to go to the gym in the morning and then go to the practice in the afternoon or in the evening. I personally hate being in a pool room in the evening. Like it's just too crowded. It's too much, too loud. Where we are, Varsity Club is like the main like college bar in town, and there's just a lot of college kids at night. So we actually don't play as often as you would think, even though we're married. It's actually funny, but we do have to do it more often. I keep telling Tyler, and he keeps telling me that like, hey, we have great assets to each other's game. Like we should spar more often. That actually gives me an idea. Tyler and I should do like a matchup, figure out the Fargo handicap, and do a live stream on my YouTube channel. That would be awesome. What camera are you using for the live stream? I'm just using the iPhone camera. I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I set up the tripod, set up my phone, and yeah, just go live on YouTube. and I'm using the SportCam app for the live scoring. What hardness of tip do you use to play? I use the Kamui medium. I explained that before, but if you missed it, I really enjoy medium, especially like Kamui black medium, because I feel like it stays consistent over the months. I think the last time I changed my tip was like 6 months ago, and it still plays the same as it played like the day after I changed it. So I think it's extremely consistent, and I play a lot of pool. If you and Tyler do come to Montana, definitely check out Glacier National Park. I've heard so many good things about it. It is in my bucket list, so I would love that so much. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up because I have to get going. Thank you guys so much for joining. I really enjoy doing those live streams. I really enjoy talking to you. Uh, it's definitely still new for me. I'm still figuring out the setup, but I think I got the microphone working today, which is pretty good. I think the stream went pretty good. It's a little bit hard because I always have to rely on like the internet connection in the place where I'm streaming from, but like I said, the quality looks pretty good, so I'm happy with it. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna disconnect, but I wanted to thank you again, once again, for joining, for asking questions, for following my YouTube channel and my pool journey. And yeah, I'll see you next time. I'm gonna be streaming my matches at the Women's US Open starting Thursday this week. So tune in to my YouTube channel and press subscribe and the notification button so the next time I go live, you will get notified. So thank you guys.